with technical indicators, you can make your life much easier because
Right.
you know when you are going to exit, you know when you are going to enter. Right. The only thing that I check in the morning is where is the trend.
Trend.
Is the trend in line with whatever strategy that I have live? If it is
Correct.
if it is correct, then I'm following it blindly.
Mhm.
Like I said, right, I'm not even home. I may be traveling, I may be doing anything. If it triggers on my phone, I take the trade. So I was at a parent-teacher meeting, and me and my daughter were waiting out for our turn, and daughter was playing, and it triggered. It suddenly triggered. So all I had to do was just enter the trade based on the
Correct.
same numbers, right? Took less than 1 minute. And we did actually make profit, by the way. It went over the week, it was a swing. I'm a very, very, very system-oriented trader, as I would say, right? I mean, if I make an entry, I will not exit unless my stop loss triggers. So when I was in school, right, that is when the Harshad Mehta thing happened.
Yeah.
And as you know, quite a bit of people lost almost everything. And I still remember my dad coming home one day, and he was talking to my mom. I just overheard the conversation that one of his friends almost lost everything. They share some of those deep secrets that people don't talk about. How much have I lost, right? So that will give you that confidence, because if the person has lost so much and then still be what he is today, I'm pretty sure there is something different that he has done, right?
Hello and welcome to another podcast by Streak. This is Alok Tiwari and we have a very special guest with us today, Mr. Jaydeep. So we'll be discussing how he transitioned from being a discretionary trader to a systematic trader and how it helped him become a successful trader. We'll also be learning about risk management and the steps that he follows to develop his trading strategies. For those of you who might not be familiar, Streak platform enables you to develop your strategies, backtest it and deploy it in the live market without any coding knowledge. Some of the key features of the Streak platform include the ability to develop strategies and scanners using price action, patterns, indicators, etc. You can develop your strategies for stocks, futures, options, currencies, and commodities. I hope you'll learn a lot from this podcast and you'll enjoy watching it. So let's get started.
Hello, Mr. Jaydeep. I welcome you to Streak's podcast. First of all, I'd like you to introduce yourself to our audience and share a little bit about your experience with trading.
Okay, so I basically have a full-time job. I'm product manager. So in whatever kind of remaining time I have, I do typically trading, options, equities, commodities, whatever I can get my hands on. Right, I'm not too intent on one particular kind of profile, maintaining a stable profile, because as you know, the market can go up and down. Right. Whenever the equity is down or probably going sideways, maybe commodity is doing something, maybe currency is doing something, right? So I'm very flexible. And to be honest, even though I do trade, it's very occasional and very, very, very limited to screen time, right? I mean, I can't really look at the screen like having multiple charts. You see a lot of people, right, on YouTube nowadays, or even my friends, right? They specifically bought 2 monitors just so that they work and they can have something on another screen. Fortunately, my job, I can't do that. So that is where I rely on algo trading really to be able to provide me with alerts, with real-time alerts based on my strategies. But yeah, that's just about it. And I'm trading for almost like 4 or 5 years now.
Okay, it's been quite some time and you have a lot of experience, I see. So I would also like to know from you, what exactly inspired you to trade in the markets?
That's a very different story. So when I was in school, right, that is when the Harshad Mehta thing happened.
Yeah.
And as you know, quite a bit of people lost almost everything. And I still remember my dad coming home one day, and he was talking to my mom. I just overheard the conversation that one of his friends almost lost everything. And he had taken a VRS just before that, so that he'll invest in stock market, right? And then everything disappeared. He had to sell his flat, right? And then they went to a village with whatever left they had out of their money. And that is when I was in school, so I used to ask mom, I was like, what's stock market? And she's like, this is satta. Be away from it as much as you can, right? No horse racing, no satta, no stock market. And that's how I've been brought up. So it was quite a bit of time into my job when I started being curious. Because then when you're in a job, right, you're also following your own company, your own organization as to how is it doing, what's the stock market about. And that's how I slowly started picking things up. And it was still another 5 to 10 years before I actually wanted to kind of open a demat account. Just being cautious, right? Traditional Indian upbringing,
Right.
whatever money you have, put it in the FD, right? And that's when I started slowly getting into this. And I had one of those friends who was a regular in stock market, and he was one of the kind of, how would I say, fund manager in a very reputed organization. So I went to him and I'm like, how do you do it? Right? I mean, I've seen people lost everything. How do you do it? So he passed on a couple of books. And at that time, I still remember there wasn't that much of YouTube. All of this YouTube content started coming in after like COVID happened. But up until then, everything was dicey. Right. So I took this book and I read. And then there was a major differentiator like fundamental analysis, technical analysis. And honestly, it went literally 1,000 feet over my head. I'm not from an accounting or finance background. So then I started kind of slowly experimenting by myself in terms of how does it work. Right now, if you see Nifty, in spite of these drops, right, even the COVID drop, if you put a chart on a monthly time frame, it's only going up. It's not going anywhere. Right?
Correct.
So you need to figure out what best works for you. So I started with the maths. And that is how I started the journey with a capital of, let's say, 5,000 rupees. And I kept on Infosys for over, I would say, 1.5, 2 years, made quite a bit of it, right? Buying, selling. And then I suffered a loss out of it again. So I was not paying attention. I was actually out of the country for an office trip. So I had no clue. And Infosys, when I invested something at an X amount, it had reached to almost 3X. And by the time I got back, it was less than, I would say, X. So I'm like, I'm not going to do that, right? And that's when I started going more into technical. And slowly I was in a frame of mind wherein I'm not going to keep my money overnight in the market. If you always have those swing moments wherein you really want to invest and you want to keep your position. Correct. But typically I started options. That is when I started intraday options, right? Like a lot of people do, experimented with a lot of strategies that you find everywhere. Like go with 50 moving average, go with MCAT, go with whatever, right? Tons of things. But then I finally figured out something that works for me. Unfortunately, it did require like a chart to be pulled up and you to see the chart, which is not possible. And that till then there was no Zerodha, there was no streak, there was nothing, right? So I used a trading.com. There was this website, and then there were US stocks, right? So on Yahoo, you used to get those stocks. You used to get a lot of information on Yahoo. So that's where I started a little bit of algo trading. But there was a lot of manual effort needed because I used to make a note of the values in an Excel and then try to transpose. And then slowly these softwares came out. And that is when my activity really kicked in, trading activity. Because now I know I don't have to see the screen. I know I don't even have to be at my home, right? I just put my strategy in an algo, right? Trigger an alert. No matter wherever I am, I know my strategy is working. It will work. And I'm a very, very, very system-oriented trader, as I would say, right? I mean, if I make an entry, I will not exit unless my stop loss triggers or my target triggers.
Target is achieved.
It doesn't matter where the market is going. I don't care. I even more often than not, I just move away from the screen. As soon as I enter the trade, because there is that anxiety, right? Your money starts going.
You start looking at the MTM profit losses and
exactly. Your eye is like, okay, now the candles are moving down. Oh my God, should I exit? No, you should not. Right? Because you already have your risk management in place. So I know no matter what, I'm only going to lose this X amount of money, which is okay, right? That is something that I can sleep with.
Correct.
That is where these most of these kind of algorithms came in. But then somehow I felt Streak really hit the bill for me, particularly because of the flexibility that I get. Right, you have an app on the mobile.
Yeah.
More often than not, these softwares do have, some of them have apps on the mobile, but I feel that they're lagged. From an experience, I feel that they're lagged. Sometimes either it's the cell network, I'll not blame anyone, right? Could be my cell network being bad. But it has never been with Streak that I've put in something to kind of trigger. Normally, the way I do it, I don't do live trading with Streak for only one reason. Is I am very rigid about my my stop loss and my targets, which I like to control. I don't like that percentage variable particularly, which a lot of apps use, right? Even Zerodha uses that. Even a lot of trading apps, they have those brackets wherein they have 1% stop loss, 2 or 3% profit. I don't like that profit percentage, because see, 1% on a lakh is X value.
Yeah.
And 1% on 10 lakhs could be a Y value, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Correct.
if you're going after a trade, something like, let's say, MRF, you're just buying 10 stocks and expecting it to go up by 2% is, I don't know, crazy, right?
Yeah.
May not even happen. So
yeah,
that is the only reason why I normally don't trust any software to do the stop loss and this thing, unless I can specify a value. In X number of rupees, this should be my stop loss, this should be the.
So that is what you do on Streak, right? You specify the amount.
Yeah. Normally in Streak, the way I use it is I'll put in my strategy, right? And I'll run a paper trade. Because if you do a paper trade, it still triggers. It still gives me my triggers on my mobile. And I know that this trade has entered. Right? I've entered a trade.
Correct.
With the name, I know what trade I've entered. So all I have to do is just log into the actual trading app and take the trade. Take the trade using the values that Streak has already provided me.
Right.
So I don't have to do a calculation. So even if I'm like out for a parent-teacher meeting, that happened. So I was at a parent-teacher meeting, and me and my daughter were waiting out for our turn, and daughter was playing, and it triggered. It suddenly triggered. So all I had to do was just enter the trade based on the same numbers, right? Took less than 1 minute. And we did actually make profit, by the way. It went over the week. It was a swing. So we did make quite a bit of profit in that. So that is what I love about these apps. And this is the way. So I don't know if you're aware, but there are a lot of kind of AI self-learning models that are also available. And I've actually leveraged Streak to do that. So because of your backtesting abilities, right? So you can automatically, of course, the strategy doesn't evolve by itself. You have to evolve it.
Correct.
That backtesting will give you, I don't know, that thin layer of automation that you really need as a net. So that's about my training. I don't want to keep kind of taking your time, so I'll just pause.
So definitely, it was very insightful to hear all this from you. I would like to go a little bit back in time, and then we'll come back over here to trading, to the present day. So you mentioned one very interesting thing, that your mom used to tell you that trading is like equivalent to gambling, satta, basically. And I think today as well, many people have that perception. But in your experience, has it evolved? I mean, have people evolved and started accepting trading as a serious profession or a serious job, if I may say that?
I see a lot of youngsters doing that.
Yeah.
People out of college in their first few years of their job, they're doing it, which is great. However, if you look at my generation, they still have that perception, right?
Okay.
We still have that perception that I don't know. And it's not about satta, it's not about anything, it's just a fear of unknown. Right? You don't know how it works, right?
Correct.
Either you do your fundamental analysis correctly, which for an individual trader like me, right, is, I would say, next to impossible, because I'm just going to go by the public available records. But going into that depth, into that details. Look at the fund managers, man. They have about 100, 150 people just doing fundamental analysis. Can I beat them? No, I can't. So I just have to go with the flow, right?
Definitely.
So fear of unknown is what causes people to worry more.
Mhm.
And for them, particularly, the more of technical analysis, the more of your math helps, because a few processes are cyclic. It just indicates what's happening in the market. There are so many indicators like RSI, right? It does indicate a trend. It does indicate how strong the trend is, right? So what are your other peers doing, right? Are they selling? Are they buying? Just keep an eye out for that instead of being like coming in with vengeance, right? There are so many people that I see, they come in with vengeance, like, oh, it should drop from here. Doesn't work that way, right? You and I can express our feelings over a cup of tea or probably in the evening in a pub over a beer. It's not going to change the way the market will move, or change the way those mathematical values will move. And from my personal experience over the last 2 years, particularly with this market, the way the NSE is going, it's more mathematical. It is becoming more mathematical. So the more you focus on the right indicators at a time, and I have seen people do that. They have like almost 8 or 10 indicators on their screen. And you look at the screen and you barely see the candle moving because there are so many lines crossing, right?
Right.
It doesn't help as well, right? Because then you're too busy looking at the indicators, you lose the trade. You just lose your entry. So the key is to kind of focus on the few basic indicators, like one trend, right? The other thing is maybe multi-time frame. I don't ignore that a lot, but in the daily, your market goes sideways, and this happens with Nifty almost every week, right? You see Nifty going sideways, you change the time frame to a monthly, and it's going up.
Correct.
So if your trend is up, you need to understand your trend first, right? And then start taking trades. But technical analysis is the key. Unless you stick to your system, you'll never make money. And relating to a little bit to that Satta term, right? It's always a probability. And when we talk about probability, we always talk about this many percentage of time the thing will go as per what I want. But
Definitely.
It will not. So people don't take that failure the way they should, right? You will hit stop loss. I mean, let's be realistic, right?
Yeah.
Everything is moving to your expectation, but let's say one institutional player decides to book his profit at that time. There's nothing that you can do. The market will sway down for the next few candles. You'll hit your stop loss. But then the key is to stick to your system, stick to your risk management, stick to your stop loss. Do not exit just because you're seeing something drop down.
Right.
Doesn't help.
So I believe you started off as a discretionary trader, right? You did not have a system in place. You
Nothing.
just used. Okay, and then you slowly transitioned.
Yeah, it was just like friends saying, this stock is going to go, right? This stock is going to boom. And the only thing that I used to be diligent about was like, have I heard the name of that company? Someone is saying Infi. Oh, I have heard Infosys. I'm pretty sure he knows what he's doing, right? That was bad because I just didn't know when to exit. I didn't know when to enter. Right? I'm just going by hearsay information, which is what caused that almost all of my profit and partially of my capital to disappear, which was a very tiny capital of 5,000. But that kind of pushed me back, right? I mean, at that point of time, since I had already gone 3x, I was like, okay, let me pump in a little more money.
Yeah.
And by the time I came back, it was below my X. And I'm like, no way. So that is where I stopped. You're right.
So what are the key differences that you've observed in being a discretionary trader versus being a systematic trader? Let me frame it differently. What are the challenges that you faced when you were trading without a system, and how it got solved through systematic trading?
Good question. So without system, right? Let's take the example, my own example, right? There were 3 of these friends who used to trade, right? They followed whatever system they knew or whatever it was. And they used to always kind of SMS or phone page of milte the when we used to meet. They'll be like, you should buy that tomorrow. This is going to make money. Like, okay. I was very passive, but okay, I'll buy. And that way I bought a few, right? But the challenge is now I have to chase that person.
Correct.
Is that stock doing well? Should I exit? Should I not exit? Should I keep it? And you follow that diligently for the next few days, right? After that,
Correct.
this slips somewhere down, and you're like, it's okay. He'll tell me when things are wrong, right? The problem is he will tell me. It's not that, right? That's what friends are for. He will tell me. The challenge is he will tell me when things that were supposed to happen, the bad things that were supposed to happen, have already happened. Right? So that is a big challenge. And let's say, what happens if that friend is on a vacation? He's not even monitoring his own values, right?
Correct.
So you're done. It's your history. So that is when I feel that, it's very dicey. And it's challenging because you don't have a faintest idea of what your money is doing.
And another problem with trading based on tips is basically, different people have different kind of risk appetite.
Absolutely.
Some people can take a lot of volatility in their portfolio. Some people cannot. Their time horizons are different. Maybe you're looking for making profits in the longer run. Maybe someone else is looking to make profits in 1 month or 2 months. So these variables people don't look at when they start trading based on tips, and that is where all the problem starts.
Exactly. When I talked about Infosys,
yeah,
this friend of mine who suggested me Infosys, and it stuck because it's a big company. The background is his dad bought Infosys in a new fund offering.
Okay.
Right at the start, whenever they got that is when he had Infosys, and obviously his risk-taking appetite on Infosys is going to be way more than mine. Because he has started from what, 10, 12, 15 rupees. I don't know what the price was, but he started from there, right? But he actually has made all of his money back.
Correct.
Many times over.
Correct.
So for him, holding on to that stock doesn't matter. For me, I'm entering now at what? 1,400, 1,300, and it doesn't go. It's a lot of money. So,
of course.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Risk appetite should be the key. Today, when I go in, the only question that I ask is, if I'm making this trade, and as per my risk management, I'm going to lose X amount of money, can I sleep?
Of course.
It's a very simple calculation.
When you try to develop a strategy, what is the framework that you follow? I hope you have a framework and step-by-step process that you follow to create a strategy and then take it into the market. So can you just briefly let us know what kind of process do you follow?
Yeah, so the first step, whenever I'm even thinking about, let's take an example of equity for now, right? And when I go into the market, I am looking first thing at the trend.
Okay.
Where the overall Nifty is heading, which is fine, or sideways, or wherever it is. And in comparison to that, where is the stock heading? Is it going up? Is it going down? And that is when you actually, I normally go even on TradingView or any free website, right? You just go to the chart, right? Look at what it has done since the last 5 years, right? And then apply multiple, let's say, moving averages. Figure out what the trends are. Is it really taking support? Let's say if we take 30 MA for there, 30 simple. How many times does it really take a support on that?
Correct.
Right? And if it doesn't, then I have to change the value. Then it's probably going to be 50 MA, because for a few heavy stocks, right, who are really established in the market, for them at times even 200 MAs work, because their fluctuations are not much. Volatility is there, right? Correct. If you look at the amount of volume of trade, it's in millions. Correct. But they are established that much that the fluctuation is limited. So that is the first thing that you need to do, is figure out the trend, put in an MA value, and see how many times is it really striking that mark. Is it taking support, or is it going below? Is it staying above? And change that value. right?
Right.
And make it in such a way that whatever your resistance lines are or whatever your support lines are, that MA is going in traction with that and not really kind of going everywhere wayward. So once that is done, you know that there is basically this MA is going to work, right? And
Right.
that way you're sure that, okay, now I'll know the trend just looking at the MA where this is going to go.
Mhm.
And that is when you start making your major kind of calculation is what time frame did this work, right? Did this work on like an intraday time frames, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, or did this work on daily, monthly, weekly, whatever? And that's your second criteria for your entry. How long am I going to keep the money in the market? Right. Because whichever it worked for, if it worked for weekly and I'm comfortable, I am more comfortable weekly because I can't spend the whole day looking at the screen, right? So you have a particular strategy, and then so you have your basics of entry is the trend. So if it's going up, you buy. If it's going down, you short, whatever it is.
Right.
But now you know that, okay, you know the trend, you know the time frame that you're willing to put in the money for. The third thing I do before even putting the strategy into place is figuring out when to put it in place. Is like, look at the event calendars, right? If there are any major events coming in, I don't want a strategy. I don't want to keep my money invested.
Correct.
Just kind of depending that, okay, everything will be well, all is well. No. So that is the third thing. And then you add a couple of validation indicators. Let's say, to choose the exact time when to introduce the strategy, you can go by RSI,
Right.
or a few people go by MACD. A few people go by there are stochastics. So it just kind of validates the trend, right?
Correct.
Validates it. You can now using streak. Let's say for an example, I can create a strategy just based on moving average, nothing else. But then I can use, I can combine it with a multi-time frame.
Right.
It's like on a daily, where is the moving average, and as compared to a weekly, where is it?
Right.
And I can look for that overlap. Whenever my faster moving average, which is the time frame, goes below my slower moving average, the trend has changed.
Correct.
It is indicating the trend change. Right?
Correct.
That is how you compare the multiple indicators and formulate a strategy.
Correct. So basically, by using the simplest of the indicators also, it is possible to create successful trading strategies.
I would say try putting in, let's say, 15 or 20 MA on an option chart in a daily time, in a, let's say, 3-minute time frame. So many trades hit, right? You can just do scalping. You don't even need to do trading. Let's say I have 15 minutes or 30 minutes today, which I can look at the screen. You can just do scalping. Goes up and down, goes up and down. You have your MA. As soon as it hits your MA, it's going to go up. You buy, you sell at your whatever, 1:2, exit.
Correct.
With technical indicators, you can make your life much easier. Because you know when you are going to exit. You know when you are going to enter.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of technical analysis. It provides you exact entry points, exit points, and risk management is always inbuilt into all the technical analysis strategies. So that is one wonderful thing about technical analysis. And when it comes to timing your trades correctly, that is also where technical analysis plays a great role.
Yes.
So from what you've told me, I can understand that you're doing scalping. Whenever you trade options, you're doing scalping, right? So all your option strategies are basically buying strategies.
Not in options. It's more of in currency that I do scalping. Options, yes, I do scalping only when I see like this week, right? If you see, it's a fantastic kind of, I mean, I don't know how many times can we really get to see a 10-day uptrend. Right? A strong uptrend, which is across what, 10, 12 days now. It's going up. Yeah, this is when scalping will work for sure. But then when it's going down, you just discard that strategy. You go into shorting. I mean, if come on here, if 50 million option lots have been shorted by someone. Who am I to challenge that? I'll just go and short one lot for myself.
Correct. So, which currencies do you trade?
USD INR, USD Euro. But yeah, I mean, they have their own kind of time frames when you do it. Like USD Euro, you typically start sometime now this time, or even a bit later than this, I would say, whenever the US market comes up, right? 6:30 p.m. And that is generally the time when I have a little bit of time, because during the day you have your job. And for scalping, you really need to stick to the screen, right? 30 minutes or whatever it is. So it works. Evenings, just spend one and a half hour, and you will know how much money you can make. Just
Sir, how many strategies do you have live at a point of time?
Not more than 3.
3 strategies.
Not more than 2 or 3, because then you get confused. You start confusing yourself.
Right.
Yeah, equity perspective, maybe if I'm tracking a few stocks, yeah, I'll have one strategy each per stock. But general trading, like swings on options or on some commodities like gold, which was doing good up until a few days back, or let's say euro and or any currency, right? One strategy only per index or whatever you want to term it. Then you could get confused. It's again the same thing, right? Going back to what I said, you see people with 10 indicators on the screen, they barely can see the candle move.
Right.
That is exactly what will happen.
And has Streak helped you manage multiple strategies at once?
Yes, because I can name them, and whenever it kind of enters a paper trade or something on my phone, I know exactly what is entering the paper trade. You already have done your background, right?
Right.
When you have those strategies live, you know what stock you're going into, you know what your risk management for that stock is, or you know what you want to do, what you want to achieve. You just need to know that timing, right? Time entry, which either you stick to your screen, keep looking at it for 8 or 6 hours of the day, or you just put it in Streak. It will tell you the entry.
Right.
As per your strategy. So.
Right. And what is your average holding period per strategy or per script, let's say?
Normally in swings, it can be, I would say, a few weeks. In a few of my strategies, I'm still holding on to the stock after a year.
Okay.
Because it's doing good. And, it hasn't kind of triggered any of my stop losses or targets.
Right.
I just do pyramiding on it then. Keep doing it. Right. But on an average, I would say a couple of weeks, or scalping, not more than 2 hours in the market.
I would also like you to talk a little bit more about risk management. One thing you've already told us that you always put your stop loss and target in amounts, and then you perfectly stick to it. Right. Can you share a few more tips regarding risk management, and why is it important?
So to start with that, I'll rather start with how much money are you putting in, right? Let's say hypothetical. Take an example of 1 lakh, right? Are you going to have a good sleep if you lose 10,000? That's the first question you need to ask, right? I am not. I'm not comfortable losing that. Am I comfortable losing 500? Yes, I am. Am I comfortable losing 1,000? Yes, I am. I'm okay, because I know I'm comfortable losing 2,000. Yeah, I am. So that is where you get your value. That is where you get your maximum stop loss value.
Right.
2,000 is the worst that can happen to you. Now, which stock or equity are you tracking, or option are you tracking? In that, when you make a trade, right, you get to the underlying value of profit and loss, because options, it's very easy to get confused.
Correct.
You see the price of 20 rupees or say 25 rupees, it hits 25 to 30 and you make profit. But if it hits 25 to 20, you make that 5 rupees loss visibly, which is not, because the loss is dependent on your underlying value, right? At the end of the day. So you get that out, and then you figure out how much can you buy, right? How many stocks. In equity, how many stocks can you buy? In options, how many lots can you buy to meet that loss value? That defines your exact entry and exit quantity. So that is the key, right? At more often than not, people falter on the quantity, right?
Correct.
Your quantity defines how much total loss you're going to make.
Right.
Come to that, and then basically when you put a trade, keep it in your back of your mind, right? It's going to be either one step loss or 3 steps profit or 2 steps profit, whatever your strategy tells you, right? It's not something imaginative that, okay, today I'll just stick with 1:5 profit because market is going up. It will never work.
Correct.
Right? What does your strategy say? Does it say 1:2? Does it say 1:3? If it says 1:3, it's 1:3. Then you enter with that stop loss and target already added to your trade.
Right.
You put a bracket trade. Now, how do you define this value? Again, sometimes I use candles, right? Like the length of the candle. That's the best measure, I would say. The length of the candle. Because you know the exact variation that is happening in that time frame. Whatever time frame you're trading. Could be a day, could be 5 minutes. You get the variation. And based on that, top to bottom, just go for the high and low. And you have your exact values of your stop loss and your target multiplied whatever stop loss is, your target. You enter the trade. Do not fiddle with the trade. Because I have seen so many people fiddle with the trade, right? It's going up as per what I'm saying. And then if you typically see support and resistance, right, it consolidates somewhere. And the consolidation phase, more often, if it's a 5 candle phase, it will have 4 candles in red.
Right.
These people, when they see that red, they'll be like, oh, it's going to go down. It's not going down. Believe in your strategy, right?
That's right.
You've seen backtesting it. You've backtested it for what? With Streak or with... There are so many platforms. You can backtest it for the past 10 years. You've seen it. It's not going to fail. Just believe in it.
Right.
And stay there. Right?
Right.
Let your trading software, jo bhi aap use kar rahe ho, if you have entered with a criteria of exit, allow the software to exit. Why do you want to exit?
Correct.
Why do you want to go in the software and say, okay, close position? You don't want to do that.
Then there's no meaning of creating the strategy itself if you want to fiddle with it in between. I mean, that is not how it works. So you shared a very important thing that your position sizing has to be correct. I would like to add one point over there that many a times position sizing is not correct because people are not looking at the risk involved. They're just looking at the reward. That if it goes from 100 rupees to, let's say, 105 rupees, I'm going to make so much money if I buy so many stocks. But they're not looking at what will happen if it goes to 98, 97 rupees. That is also, I think that is the first thing that you need to focus on. If it goes to 97 rupees, how much am I going to lose? That is the first thing you should be looking at. Right. And
going up, right? You rightly put it, right? Going up when you only want to focus on profit, please do. But not in your entry quantity. Then you can start pyramiding.
Correct.
You hit your 1:3, you buy. You hit another 1:3, you buy again.
Yeah.
That you are making...
So that you have that cushion, even if it goes down, you have that cushion and the heart to take that loss or drawdowns. So I'm sure the strategies that you're using, you must be seeing a lot of drawdowns as well. I mean, there could be periods when the stock is, your strategy is not really performing as per your expectations, and you might be seeing losses for a certain period, right? So in that period, how do you have that confidence in your strategy that going ahead, I'm still going to use that strategy and going ahead, it is definitely going to help me recover the losses and make new profits. So basically what I've seen is that many traders, they develop strategy and then let's say they'll trade for 1 or 2 times, and then if they see losses, they stop using that strategy and they lose the confidence. So when you see those losses for a period, how do you maintain that confidence in the strategy?
You go back to your multi-time frame charts.
Yeah.
Figure out where is it moving, because see, typically the strategies that you make either are bearish or bullish. If that bullish strategy is not working, either the market is going sideways or it's not doing what it's supposed to normally do. It's just in a phase of consolidation.
Right.
So you just pause that strategy for a week. Don't look at it. Go into something else, right? You may have multiple strategies build up. Maybe at least one or two, just run the other one, see what happens, right? Pause your trading. I'll be very honest. I don't trade. I don't even trade more than 5 days a week, 5 days a month. Sorry. The rest of the days, even if I get an alert, I ignore it. It's just because, see, there is something up in your brain, right? You make let's say you make 3 to 5 trades, all of them are successful. Feel like you're on top of the world. Ab main kuch bhi karunga to hoga. It doesn't work. It doesn't work, right? And then you start ignoring your basics. You start ignoring your strategy. So ideally, I would say wait for that perfect moment. If you are in a big streak of 5 wins, break it yourself. Break it then and there. Take a pause. Take a deep breath. Analyze the situation. You have made good money here.
Yeah.
Just have a drink in the evening, right? Take a break for 2-3 days. Come back again and see where the market is heading first.
Right.
And then follow. I mean, strategies will work 100%. If backtesting, if it has worked in the backtesting, it will work in the future. It's just that you need to, if it's not working, there is something fundamentally changed. You just need to look closely and check what has changed. Right. It just could be that market is consolidating. It just could be the trend has changed. Right. Let's say you're 5 days before the budget. The trends change. They go haywire. Right. Look at the event calendar. There might be some event coming up for that company. And that's why this is happening. Right. Just have that situational awareness rather than being like a Harshad Mehta style bull that I'm going to go. It's not going to work. So just have a situational awareness. Take a step back, pause, re-enter.
Right. So when you create and backtest a strategy, what are the key parameters that you look which help you decide if this strategy is suitable for me or not? For example, win to loss ratio or drawdown.
I would say win to loss ratio more, but drawdown definitely, because you see a lot of times when if you go whenever you're backtesting in the results, if you see there will be a lot of trades which have failed just because a very marginal value. When we're talking about percentage, right? It let's say 1%, it failed just because it went like 1.1%.
Right.
Or 1.01%, and it failed. And it bounced back again. Right. That is when you know that there might be some parameter that you need to change. It could either be the your moving average, just adjust it by a bit, run the backtest again, and look at those drawdowns. Why are you getting those drawdowns? Is the key.
Right.
Win to the losses ratio is the key at the end of it. Right. You don't want 30 wins and 70 losses. Because that it will equate to you being in loss in a longer run. But try to push that up. But to push that up, you always need to look at the drawdown as to why did that fail.
Correct.
And it helps. I've seen that it helps if you even at least look at 10 to 15 trades that you've lost. Why you've lost. If you see more often than not, it will be such a small margin that you've lost because. And a minor tweak, let's say pushing that MA from 30 to 28 will fix it.
Right.
Something like that. Right. I'm just using an example of MA, but for just or using a previous candle instead of the current candle to do the trade, that might help. So these are very small things that you could just manipulate a bit and it works. I mean,
so basically you also optimize this is what you're talking about is optimization. Yes. Once you create the strategy, go and look at the transaction details and see what exact trades have taken place. If losses are happening, open the chart, try to look why those losses happened and what indicators I can add or subtract, or maybe what parameters I can change to avoid those trades where I am seeing losses, and then change that parameters in your strategy, run backtest again. And that is how you optimize your strategy and create it better, make it better and better.
and using streak, I don't know how many of people try this, but there is something called as an nth candle. Right?
Yeah.
And you can use support and resistance. If you
Yeah.
think very, very, very carefully, it's complicated, but you can definitely use support and resistance by figuring out what the candle value was, let's say 50 candles back.
Right.
Was it up? Was it down? You will go into a lot of loops, but you can do that. And that also helps sometimes because
Correct.
you know, right? At times you have a support line and the market has a tendency of just peeking over it and going down. It doesn't stay here. It just goes up and down, and that's your stop loss.
Right.
So it helps you to figure that out is what should be your stop loss value? So manipulating these small parameters can help a lot. Because this is a strategy that any strategy that I build, right? I'm going to use blindly. Right. The only thing that I check in the morning is where is the trend? Is the trend in line with whatever strategy that I have live? If it is correct, then I'm following it blindly. Like I said, right, I'm not even home. I may be traveling, I may be doing anything. If it triggers on my phone, I take the trade.
Right.
So to reach that, you have to be very, very diligent about your initial strategy creation. And once you do that, you don't really have to worry.
I would also like to ask you, are there any practices which have helped you become a better trader or which help you in your day-to-day decision-making process, which is not directly related to markets, such as a lot of traders do meditation or yoga or any other kind of exercise or reading, anything like that, which is helping you in your trading?
Reading is a constant. That has been a constant since school days. That hasn't changed. I like it. No, I'm not into meditations or anything else, but I spend time with my daughter. So I have a 3-year-old. I spend at least 15 minutes at the start of my day, 15 at the end of my day, to make sure it just makes me rejuvenated. Right. Because they take you in a completely different tangent that you haven't even dreamed of.
Right.
I would say it's a meditation of a kind, but
of course.
My honest advice would be just to do something different which you like to do. Right. It doesn't have to be anything particular. If it even means that you want to speak with a person to feel nice for 15 minutes, do it.
Definitely.
I mean, or there are so many people, right? I mean, I have my wife, right? She loves to watch a serial for just 10 minutes. And I don't know how long that serial is long closed. Right? They've kind of shut down their shop, but she's still on halfway through the serial just because she watches it only for 5 minutes in a day. She loves that laugh, and that's it.
Right.
Something that will cheer you up, something that will keep you on track, keep you focused to the reality. So
yeah, it could be anything as simple as spending time with your family, whatever is helping you, build that peace of mind. So I would also like to ask you regarding if you want to give some recommendation to our users regarding books or any other learning material that you think that can help them become a better trader.
Books, there are a lot, but I would say rather than books, podcasts, right? Just go to the Apple podcasts and look for, let's say, 50 wealthiest people podcast. And then there are, I would say, Rich Trader, Poor Trader, podcast on that. There are so many of them, and you learn from their experiences, right? I mean, they share some of those deep secrets that people don't talk about. How much have I lost, right? So that will give you that confidence, because if the person has lost so much and then still be what he is today, I'm pretty sure there is something different that he has done, right?
Right.
So all of those, and then other than that, I would say don't get too much into. Honestly, I mean, I know maybe you would put this on YouTube, and I really don't want to badmouth anyone. Be diligent of how many videos are you watching, how many strategies are you trying to learn at one time, right? Without even testing it once. So pause, right? Just do one or two. Pause. Take a step back. Otherwise, you'll be confused.
Absolutely, that's very true. I would also like you to share some challenges that you might have faced, let's say initially when you started using Streak, or it could be even when you started trading, and how those challenges got resolved over time.
Uh, yeah, technical analysis, I would say. That's the first challenge, right? Because uh, initially I tried to get into the details of the math, right?
Mhm.
Like stochastics or RSI. What's the actual math? Look at the equation. And then I knew it went almost 1,000 foot over me. I couldn't get my hands on it or grasp.
Mhm.
I couldn't even understand it. And so slowly, instead of going into the details of how that indicator is created, rather focus on how that indicator is used.
Right.
Practicality. Is it going to make you money by looking at how that indicator is created? Someone has already spent his time on that.
Yeah.
You really want to redo that entire effort and kind of push yourself back, because that demotivates new people. It did
Correct.
demotivate me because now I can't understand it. And I'm like, oh, if I can't understand it, how am I going to implement it? But there is a huge difference between understanding how that is built and implementing it, right?
Correct.
Like, let's say, let's go into Streak, for example, right? You go try to code something, right? And then either you get an error or something totally unexpected happens on your back testing.
Right.
So just go through the docs. I think your help is brilliant. The documentation, you just do a control F and come to the couple of examples, you can view them, and then you can easily transpose them into your code. I've also done that Pine script coding for quite a bit of time. And let me tell you, it's way more difficult than what Streak trading is, because the algorithms, the customized training interface, the customized kind of how would I say, algorithm interface that you have, it is very intuitive, to be honest. And if there is something that you get stuck on and you don't know what it is, just Google. You'll know what it is.
Right.
That's the easiest that you can do. At least Google, look a couple of videos, then you know how to use it. It's so simple these days with Google and so many YouTube videos.
And of course, even after that, if you're not able to find the solution, we're always there to help you out.
I never had to, but yeah, that is always an option.
Yeah. It was a wonderful session, sir. I would quickly like to summarize all the learnings, key learnings that we have taken from you. First of all, trading is not satta, it's the fear of unknown because of which people feel so. It's all about probabilities. If you have a very analytical approach towards it, you're definitely going to become a successful trader. You need to accept the risk. The moment you start trading, you need to accept that you are taking a risk. There is a chance of making a loss also along with profit, and you need to learn how to manage the losses or the risk that comes in with trading. Stick to your strategy. There can be periods when it is not working, but that doesn't mean that it is not going to work forever, right? Give it some time. Even the most basic indicators and trading techniques can work wonders and help you create wonderful strategies. For example, you've talked about moving averages, which are the simplest form of indicators, if I have to say. And those also work very well if you know how to use them correctly, right? Be with the trend. Trend is very important. Optimize your strategies once you create and backtest them. Go through the transaction details and try to learn if a certain trade is not working, why it didn't work, and how I can make changes into my strategy to make it better and perform better and better. Right? Educate yourself regarding the markets. Very important. Educating yourself, and that's it. I think. If there is anything else you would like to add, or if I've missed anything, please do that, sir.
You were spot on. Just put that risk management right at the top,
Right.
and believe in your strategy again. That should also be way at the top. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Manage the risk. Basically, the profits are going to come in automatically.
They will automatically come in.
Right. So thank you, sir. I would like to thank you for giving your time to us and sharing all your valuable insights and information with all of us. I hope this podcast is going to help a lot of traders become a little more successful in their trading journey.
Thank you for having me here.